Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. It does give me an immense amount of pleasure to rise and speak to the Smoke-Free Environments Controls and Enforcement Amendment Bill, a bill which the Labour Party wholeheartedly supports and endorses. Can I start by congratulating the Honourable Tariana Turia on her success in bringing this legislation to the House and her success in convincing her government allies to agree to these measures. This is the next logical and natural step along the path towards greater tobacco control and towards leading New Zealand to being in a position of being free from the clutches of tobacco. It builds on a number of years of excellent work by successive governments who have sought for some time to tackle the horrific damage done by tobacco in New Zealand. Particularly, it's worth noting to Māori, and I would like to also acknowledge and congratulate the Māori Affairs Select Committee for their recent work, and particularly Hone Harawira in getting their inquiry established and being able to run such an effective inquiry. Mr Speaker, the major thrust of this bill, and the piece that people will pay most attention to probably, is the removal of tobacco displays. And this is something that advocates have been asking for a number of years, and it is something which, to be honest, I think Parliament has been a little bit slow to react to. But I am very pleased that we are finally now having the first reading of this bill and that we will see those tobacco displays eventually removed. The point of removing tobacco displays is to reduce the number of young people who actually start smoking in the first place, because we know that as the tobacco industry kills off 5,000 people a year, it needs to recruit new users. Otherwise, its business model is completely stuffed. And the truth is that adults who are making informed decisions would not sensibly take up tobacco smoking. The truth is that it is young people, usually around the age of 13 or 14, who start smoking. And by the time they're old enough to realise that it's not a good idea and that their health will suffer and that their lives will be shortened, they are addicted to nicotine and they find it near impossible to actually quit. So getting tobacco out of sight, out of mind, and reducing those incentives for young people to take up smoking is a significant step forward, and it is one that the Labour Party has been prepared to do for some time. There was a Health Select Committee, there was a petition brought to the Health Select Committee. The Health Select Committee at the time, this is in the last term of Parliament, took that petition very seriously, and the recommendation made by majority, not supported by the National Party members on that Select Committee, but the recommendation made was to get rid of tobacco displays. Unfortunately, the National Government rejected that recommendation, and it said that there was no evidence in support of doing so. It is pleasing that, although it has taken 2 years, it is pleasing that the Māori Party and Tariana Turia have managed to get the National Party to come round on this one. And I will be very interested to hear contributions from the National Party members about what has actually convinced them. Because we know no more now than we knew 2 years ago. We had plenty of evidence 2 years ago that told us that getting rid of tobacco displays was a good thing. But Tony Ryle got up and Joe Goodhue's shaking her head, but she knows this is true because it's on Hansard. Tony Ryle got up and said, there is no evidence in support of removing tobacco displays. What has changed 2 years on? That is my question, and that is what I want to know from the National Party. Because when I asked Mrs Turia this yesterday in the House, she came back with a quick and sharp response that 2 years was a lot shorter than 9 years. Well, the truth again is that in the 9 years when Labour was in government, Labour got smoking out of workplaces, we got smoking out of bars, we increased excise tax, we introduced more support for smokers trying to quit. This this bill is an excellent bill, but it is merely the next step along a path. And this revisionist history that nothing happened for 9 years needs to be unpicked and needs to be pulled apart. The only thing that would have stopped anything happening during those 9 years is if National had been in charge, because they voted against every single one of those measures. In fact, they went around scaremongering and racking people up, saying that this was an infringement on their personal rights. That's what the National Party did. So the question that the National Party has to answer tonight is what has changed? Why are they now suddenly in so much support of this? But you know what, Mr. Speaker, I don't think the National Party really are in so much support of this. We could tell that because they got their most junior minister to stand up and bring this bill into the House. The second most junior minister. Well, they could have brought the new one in, but that is a real insult to Mrs. Turia. They could have. Well, he is the most. Hekia got promoted above him. Okay, fair enough. The fact of the matter is, the National Party doesn't believe this stuff. This is, thank goodness, this is a little tip to the Māori Party, because the ACT Party is in trouble and the National Party know that the only hope of them being in government in the next term is with the Māori Party support. So thank goodness the ACT Party is falling over and the Māori Party is having more say in this government, because that is what has brought this piece of legislation to the House. It doesn't just get rid of tobacco displays, though. It does some other good things as well. It prohibits the display on the exterior of retail premises the retailer's trading names if that name includes the words like tobacconist or tobacco. That is a very good step forward as well. It also tries to tackle the last bastion of tobacco sponsorship in New Zealand. That was one of the first things to get banned. But there is still something out there, and that's exclusive trading deals, where tobacco companies enter into an exclusive arrangement with usually someone running an event, and that gives them exclusive supply of their product at that event, but it also means that some of the more surreptitious forms of advertising find their way in there. It also tries to deal with the deep discounting which can occur of tobacco products as well. However, I do note that there is a provision in the bill that says that there will be nothing to stop normal discounting that would normally happen in a trade relationship. Well, I have to say, I think there will be a lot of submitters who have a problem with that, and I expect there to be quite a lot of discussion about that at the Select Committee, because tobacco is not a normal product. And until we get our heads around that concept, then we really aren't going to make the advances that we need to. And built into this bill is the concept that tobacco is a normal product that should have normal trading discounts applied to it. Well, that is wrong in my opinion, and I expect that there will be a lot of noise from submitters on that particular aspect of the bill. Mr. Speaker, I can't emphasise enough how pleased we are in Labour to see this bill come to the House, and I have to say how pleased I am personally to see this bill come to the House. I've had a members' bill in the ballot for close to 2 years. It was recently drawn, and it would have done part of what this bill would have done. In fact, everything that was in my bill is achieved by this bill, and I have to say it is actually quite gratifying when the government adopts a policy of your own, and I'm very pleased that they've gone ahead and done this, and I'm pleased that being a government bill it managed to actually tackle some of the other issues as well. My advice when I was preparing my members' bill was to keep it fairly succinct if it was to have any chance to get past this government who seem to sort of block any opposition members' bill at any opportunity. So I am really very, very pleased to see this bill come before the House. I do look forward to the National members' contributions for their explanation as to what has changed in the National Party, for them to finally come round to this. But you know what? It is great that they have caught up with the rest of us, and this is an excellent step forward in tobacco control in New Zealand.
Very good. Dr. Paul Hutchison.